You might get a
I
good.
got it.
Hello, welcome back to a new interview. We're back to the channel. So this time for this series of interviews, we have my friend Tiff and Steve. How's this your last name pronounced?
Vogue.
Vogue. So we have Steve
Yeah.
Vogue this time. So how are you?
Good. How are you? They're having.
Good, fine. We're fine. So, first question, can you tell us your name and where you're from?
So, as I said before, my name is Steve Voke. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Great. Tiff?
No, go ahead. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your disability and what your disability is?
Sure. Um, so I have a what's called functional neurological systems disorder stemming from persistent post-concussion syndrome. So basically, it is kind of like it was from I was a martial arts fighter from martial arts from like 4 to like 20, and lots of hits to the head and balls to the ground. And back
Hmm.
then, concussion sciences was not what it is now. We see this with hockey players and football players all the time now. And so basically, concussions, like other traumatic brain injuries, won't show up on a CAT scan or an MRI. And so just basically it's the body and the brain specifically losing the ability to regulate the voluntary and involuntary nervous system. So it's um, some doctors have equated it to where for something like MS or Lou Gehrig's, there's if it was a computer, the hardware is breaking down. But for my condition, it is the software that's breaking down.
Hmm.
And they said eventually it could turn into Lou Gehrig's or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Um, but they said typically people who've been athletics, who have had concussions that have not been treated or have had traumatic head injuries, it usually goes into one of those four categories. And so it's, um, I've had it since first symptoms since 24, and I'm approaching my 20th year with it. It had gone into remission for a time, and then it started speeding up again about 8 years ago.
Hmm.
Okay, so what kind of symptoms, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
what kind of symptoms do you usually have?
So, kind of like anyone with a neurological disease or disorder, it kind of goes in two streams. You have like the continuous progression of the condition, plus like if you've had good days or bad days of symptoms. But
Hmm.
typically, it's um, any given day, constant pain, neuropathic pain, but also loss of sensation is constant. So I feel very little. So I'm always having to check myself for wounds daily. The uh, I have like maybe 3 hours of good nervous system use, but then I have to stretch that out to 19 hours because I'm a husband, father, full-time high school teacher. And with that, tr- the symptoms that when I'm not taking medication, so there's pain, there's tremors, there's muscle cramping, like muscle spasms, in addition to if I exhaust myself physically too much, I start to slur my words, my muscles. Like, for example, I'll think to do something, but my muscle won't cooperate. I'll have to almost like tell it to do it multiple times. My voice, if I talk too much, I'll start to lose that. Um, I can't really do anything handwritten anymore. And about every 8 months or so, I noticed that another thing has disappeared that I was able to do before. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, I just found out I can no longer use chopsticks for getting sushi. And so it's basically like my for me, it's my arms and legs feel like lead has been injected into them, so it's very heavy. Um, I can walk around my house with some medical crutches, but and maybe into the store with a walker or a rollator, but anything more than that, I'll need my motorized wheelchair. Extreme muscle weakness, chronic fatigue, um, as well as brain fog, although the brain fog is not as bad as it used to be, as well as nausea, with if there's an issue with my heart, because it can also cause heart issues. Um, there can be heart palpitations, and there can be inconsistent sensations. Like, for example, I could think my hand is in water when it's not. So it's a whole plethora of things.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I think it's a little bit complex,
Yes, it is definitely complex.
Tiff.
Hold on. Uh, how do you feel how do you feel society deals with discrimination? And what can we do better for the people that are in the disability community?
Um, it's interesting. Discrimination is, I probably feel it less than many disabled people.
Hmm.
In fact, I'd say 100% I feel less than disabled people. I
Mhm.
once was I once was asked to to do a modeling job. People saw me in my wheelchair, and I was approached to do a modeling job, um, because they said that, um, I'm the I'm the great representation of what, um, people want to think about with disability. I was with my kids. I was in a suit because I had been teaching, and I was with my wife. And my wife and I, we were kind of aghast, shocked. We just said no, thank you, um, because it we understood what they wanted. It was, um, people look at me and they think I'm the most palpable form of a disability. It is similar to, like, perhaps someone who is a paraplegic but has nothing else going on, or they don't see that, um, they tie up the value in that the person, is the least requires the least amount of accommodation. So, for example, a, I could have a million people rush to help me get my wheelchair out, and then they feel that they've done their good deed for the day. They feel that they have then again be reassured that they are not an ableist person, that they're not discriminatory, that they are a good person. And that's like, check, I'm good for the day. But the fact is that, whenever, for example, if I can't get into a store, people will be enraged that this exists. And they'll say, well, you should fight this. I'm like, why don't you fight this? Oh, well, and or they will want to fight it, but it's very short-lived. Or if it's anyone who perhaps has multiple diagnoses, or has multiple disabilities, or is from a different minority, or from a different gender background or sexual background. People, I think, I don't see outright discrimination as much anymore. What I do see is this hidden ableism where it's, they want to be helpful, they want to be inclusive as long as it provides the maximum good feeling for them with the minimum effort and output for the society. And so and we see this with many people. We see this with homeless people. How many people will go give homeless person the bare spare change they have, but will actually go and buy a homeless person a meal or buy that person a meal and sit and talk with them while eating those meals together. So, for the second part of your question, what can we do? I think it's that people need to understand that we are them and they are us. It's not eventually everyone will join our minority. Everyone.
Exactly. Going on that point, for me, I think you're exactly right. Because when I got into advocating, really honestly, having people tell me, oh, you know nothing about disability, and then using the term, well, I would turn around and tell those people, well, you're not getting any older, or you're not getting any younger. How would you feel? And then I would like list those things that I went through as a child, and then as an adult, still list those things and be like, to see their face go bright red and be like, oh, we never thought about it like that. We never thought about the way you're going through it. You're 1,000% right.